What's up, my good people? I'm back again. Please like, comment. I would love to hear more dialogue from people, and subscribe. As you can tell by the content of the video, by the title of the video, I'm talk about the backlash that the Breakfast Club has received in regards to the interview with Lil Duval and his comments about transsexuals. I seen that full interview. I also watched the full interview that they had previously with that they posted previously with Janet Mock. I also just recently read an article that that she typed in response to the Breakfast Club interview with Duval, with some of the information that she, that she talked about in her interview as well. Now, first and foremost, I'm here to defend the Breakfast Club. And I say that, and I want to tread lightly because I don't want people to think that I'm for violence against transgenders. I'm not against violence for anyone, but particularly anyone, just period. Like, I don't even have to go into much explanation for that. I don't believe in violence towards anyone, period. People tend to want to pick on things that they don't understand. I don't agree with that. I'm all for learning more and knowing what makes each other different. Like, and I always want to become a better human being, so I'm always up for dialogue. So with that being said, a lot of things that Janet Mock said in the article were basically like she doesn't do the trans 101 conversations. She's heard previous conversations of the Breakfast Club, them using derogatory terms as far as trans and so, like tranny and stuff like that. I, for one, until I heard your interview, did not know that tranny was a derogatory term. And I say that to say this is that I try to stay up on the news, on on pop culture, on hip hop, politics, world news, just anything. And like, honestly, I have not come across an article where they said that calling someone who's transsexual or who is in the process of transitioning a tranny was disrespectful or derogatory. I know that now. I'll take that and I'll own it and say, okay, from this point on, I won't ever call someone transitioning or who has fully transitioned a tranny again. But again, it's not a term that I use every day anyway, because I don't know any transsexuals off the top of my head. But that's to show you that someone who is open, I consider myself someone who's open, like I say, to learning more about different cultures and just different people in general. So I didn't know that. I think it's a lot of people who don't know that. And, and Janet, for a lot of things that you said in your article, you say you're done with the trans 101 conversations. I honestly think that's your responsibility. That's to say that someone who represents Black Lives Matter not discussing why Black Lives Matter anymore, just saying, well, you should know this. Honestly, blacks, and you being someone who's a minority transsexual, know that you are double marginalized because you're black and you're transsexual. But you know that the black issues have been going on a lot longer. People are just now catching up to the LBGT community, and I know it's other letters as well, but I'm sorry, I don't know those quite like the other one. So that's something that's recently coming up to the forefront more and more. Everyone doesn't know the proper terms. Honestly, my personal opinion is that if you are trans and if you're taking this, you're writing books and stuff about it, you've given seminars, that's something that you should not be afraid, or I'm not even gonna say afraid, you should not turn your back against, because people need that knowledge. And I would say myself included. If I knew, like, after seeing the Breakfast Club interview, if you say, hey, I'm holding a trans 101, I would want to be there in some type of capacity to know what to do, what not to say, and how to help if I was to come across someone who felt that way. Like, and for you to say, no, I don't feel like this is something I should do, or I don't want to do it anymore, that's a disservice to people who really want to know what's going on. Now, back to the interview. I personally sat there and watched the whole interview, and you even intimated in the article that you didn't even watch the interview that they done with you. And it may be at times where things may have gotten to a point where you weren't, where it wasn't comfortable for you. But I also attributed that to people who not always around trans folks. For example, if you put a black person around white people who've never been around black people, the attitude change. They kind of weird. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to say it, because especially if they really want to know what's going on with you, they don't want to offend you. I've been in those situations where I've been the only black face in the room, and the other white people in the room may not know how to approach me because they don't want to offend me. They don't want to say the wrong thing. I think marginalizing the Breakfast Club is the same as people marginalizing black people for the actions of a few. For people marginalizing Latinos for the actions of a few. For people marginalizing Muslims for the actions of a few. Not once did Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God, or DJ Envy advocate or agree with what Lil Duval said. And again, I do not agree with what Lil Duval said, as far as him killing or anything like that. That's his opinion. Again, you can't marginalize the Breakfast Club for his particular opinions. Period, point blank. And especially when they were vocal about it themselves. Charlamagne himself said, that's a hate crime. You can't say that. And he said, look, hey, that's me. I'm going to say how I feel about it. And everyone else said the same thing. Now, how the whole setup of him showing you a book and so on and so forth, if you didn't like that, again, that's personal. I can't make a statement on that particular aspect, because if he used you for an example and you feel a type of way about that, all I can do is respect it. But I will tell you though, like, it's a lot of people out here who don't know the right and wrongs as far as the trans community is concerned. Period, point blank. And if it's some way besides violence, now violence is wrong in general, but how to address, how to help, what is disrespectful, what is the appropriate terms, everyone doesn't know that. And so it gets to a point where it's like, what do you want? Help me at the end of the day. Okay, because I would have never heard of you unless if it wasn't for the Breakfast Club. And that's not saying anything in general, but yeah, I don't want to be in a situation like if I ever met you in person to disrespect you. Like I don't want to disrespect anyone. But if I was describing you and I said tranny and you was like, I'm not a tranny, it's transsexual is the correct term, I agree with you 100%. You got the right to check me for how I should address you. But at the end of the day, you got to let me know how you want to be addressed. Don't jump down my throat when it's time. And also watch the full at least the full clip. Don't watch just the TMZ clip. Watch the full episode, or at least when they start talking about transsexuals. Again, when he pulled up your book, I can't talk about that because that's how you feel. But I honestly feel like none of them advocated or agreed with what Duval said. They actually all said the opposite. So I don't understand the boycott Breakfast Club talking stuff like that when they just had you up there a day. Well, at least they posted the interview a day or two before. So I don't get that. But again, this is my point of view. If there's anybody who's trans or gay or bi and they want to give more information, please, hit me up. My email is of course is in my intro. You can leave it in the comments. I mean, I greatly appreciate all dialogue, but again, I just didn't understand the whole uproar with the let's boycott the the Breakfast Club, because it looked like they were taking up for trans people and saying that violence is not the answer.